Welcome. The session is about two-dimensional arrays, and I am with the assumption that you already have an enough idea about the one-dimensional array. And for namesake, I have shown how the one-dimensional array will look like. This is a one-dimensional array wherein we have sequence of locations used to store items of same data type. So if we have multiple columns of such one-dimensional array, then this will be called as a two-dimensional array. Okay, so we do have two dimensions, one on the x direction, another one on the y direction. So the number of entries on the x direction is what is called as the column. So if you look at this diagram, we have 4 entries. So this is titled. So let me pick up one highlighter and show you. So this is what is the first column, this is your second column, this is your third column, and this is your fourth column. Okay, so I'll change this color of this highlighter and show you what rows are. The one in this x direction is what is called as rows. So this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. So how many rows are there in total? There are 3 rows. And how many columns are there in total? It is 4. So already you have a knowledge, I guess. The locations are indexed starting from 0. So rows will be indexed from row 0, row 1, row 2, and columns will be indexed from 0 to 3. So how the addressing will go like? So if you take this location, it will be indexed like. So initially we will be having. So we are in need of 2 indices to represent any location because there is one x direction and y direction. Assume you have a graph. How will you represent? See, assume you have a graph. How will you represent a point? So this we call it as x, let's say. Okay, and I'm very weak in drawing. Forgive me. And this is y. So if I want to specify a particular point, let's say this is your point, how will you know? You want to know what is the value of x and what is the value of y. Similar procedure is applied over here. If I want to make an entry into this cell, so what will I do? I want to know what is the row number. What is the row number here? It is 0. So this will be my first subscript. Okay, and what is the column number I should specify? It is also 0. Again, it will be my second subscript. So a two-dimensional array will be represented using 2 subscripts. The first one being the row number, the second one being the column number. If you take this entry, okay, this one I'm talking about, this entry. So how to represent this entry? What is the row number? Correspondingly, it is 1. What is the column number? It is 2. Okay, that is how all the locations are being addressed in a two-dimensional array. So what is this is? So it is row number 2, column number 0. Similarly, you can do. Okay. Now we'll see how this is getting adapted into your programming environment. Now we'll go to Dev C++ as usual, and you can use anything like as you wish. Okay, you can even have a Eclipse plugin with G++, or you can use a GCC or G++ compiler. So I'm using Windows environment and hence I'm preferring this one. Okay, so as usual, I'll be creating or I'll be including stdio.h. I'll be creating a main function. So how to declare an array? You know, the data type. I'm going to create an integer array and I want to name the array. Okay, let me name the array like sample. So we are in need of 2 indices. The first one to represent the number of rows, the second one to represent the number of columns. Okay. Let me proceed with the same thing. Here the number of rows are 3, the number of columns are 4. How to declare? It is sample of 3, 4. Okay, the first index represents the number of rows, second index represents the number of columns. And you know, for representing one-dimensional array, we are in need of a single for loop, and for that for loop, we are in need of a single variable. Now, in order to represent any location over here, we are in need of 2 variables. So one to represent which row it corresponds to, the next to represent which column it corresponds to. So obviously we are in need of two loop indexes I comma j, where I usually represents the row value, j usually represents the column value. So these are standard terms, but you can use your own variable names as you wish. Okay. Now let us get the element for this first. So as usual, I will be giving an interactive command like enter the elements of the array. Okay, so I'm giving /n to bring the cursor down so that it can look nice when you see the output. Okay, now how many elements are you going to get? So we have, look into this, we have 3 rows, 4 columns, so 4 into 3, 12 elements we are going to get. First, always will go with the row wise. So the first row will row 0, column 1, 2, 3, 4 will do. Then we'll go for row 1, this column 0, 1, 2, 3 will go. That's how it will proceed. So how to write it down? The first for loop I'll be creating for representing your row. So how many rows we do now? It is 3. So I less than 3 and I plus plus, right? Now I'm going to create a column j is equal to 0, j less than 4, j plus plus, right? Now I'm going to get the input using the scanf statement. Since it is an integer data type %t comma ampersand, where I have to store my array name is sample. What is the row number? It is I. And what is the column number? It is j. That's all, very simple. It's over now. Okay, now it's over. So what is the next step? Now we have got the input for the array. Now our duty is to print it. I will keep it there. Now I'm going to just print whatever elements that are available in the array. The elements array are, okay, again I'll give /n to represent that. So instead of typing it again, a very similar procedure that you all will adopt, I'll also copy it down. Okay, now what to do? Instead of this scanf, I have to replace it by printf. Okay, and instead of this ampersand, I have to just print it out. Right? Use get chr because it is the one which shows you the runtime output. Now I'm going to build. Before that, it will ask me to save it. I'm going to give the name as 2-dimensional array for my sake, and the type is, it is a C file. So I'm selecting C source file, save it out. It's getting compiled. Oh, no errors. Okay, so it's done. Execute. How to execute? Either you can press Ctrl F10 or you can press the run command. Okay, so it's asking for the elements of the array. How many I need to give? I need to give 12. Okay, so let me give continuous numbers. You can give anything as you wish. 11, 12. Okay. See, this is the output. But does the output looks good? No, of course not. Okay, so now we are not sure about whether 12 elements are there here or much more. So we'll make a slight change in it. Okay, so first of all, let me include /t to represent, separate the things. Okay, again we'll build, we'll execute. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. See how now the elements are getting segregated. Even now it is not appearing in a matrix format. So how to make it available in this format, or how to represent these elements in this format? See what happens after the first row elements gets over. We need to go to the new line and start. Okay, so where to give? This is where the 4 elements of the corresponding row 0 gets printed. So after that, if I give a new line command, so it will do. Just build your program. It's correct. Execute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. See, this is how a matrix looks like. Okay, now our next step is to get the number of rows and number of columns from the user. Now in this program what we did is like we have predefined the rows and the columns to be 3 and 4, but normally it's not useful at all in real time. So what we need to do, we need to get the number of rows and number of columns which may vary at runtime. Okay. How to do that is our next question. Okay. So for that, as usual, let me define an array with at some maximum size, whichever I know. I have defined it to be 10 10. Okay. And I'm going to create two new variables, row as well as column. Row, column. Okay, so where row is going to represent the number of rows I'm going to have, column is going to represent number of columns I'm going to have. Okay, so enter the number of rows and columns. So I'll give slashing. So slashing is just as a new line character to make it good. So I'm going to get two inputs, one for representing the number of rows. So the first input I'm going to store on the variable row, the second input I'm going to store on the variable column, right? Now instead of 3, how many? It's row. Now instead of column, instead of 4, it will be column. Okay, now here it is row. So keep in mind it's very simple. Always the outer for loop corresponds to the number of rows. The inner for loop corresponds to number of columns. For every row, your loop will get executed for that many number of columns. Okay. Now, okay. So already this execution is running, so it's not allowing us to build. Okay. Build, execute. Good. So now it is asking for the number of rows. You can give it even like 2, 3. So if the number of rows are 2, columns are 3, how many elements do we need? It is 2 into 3, it is 6. So 6 elements I should give. Okay. 12 to 4 occupies the first row. 12, 3, 34 occupies the second row. You can do any magics if you know how to read out the rows and columns of a matrix. Fine. Okay. So now let us do one more, or just learn one more small thing of how to add two matrices. Okay. So before getting into that, let me tell you. Let me do that work manually, and we'll proceed with that. Okay. Okay. So assume that I have matrix where the number of rows is to have a matrix A, which I'm going to add with another matrix B. So in matrix addition, you should have learnt in your schooling, like the number of rows and the number of columns has to be same, right? So let us assume that there are 2 rows indexed by 0 and 1. There are 4 columns indexed by 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the same thing will exist over here. There will be 2 rows indexed by 0, 1. There will be 4 columns indexed by 0, 1, 2 and then 3. Okay. Now let me name the elements like 1, 2, 4 and then 8. Okay. So this can be 6, 5, 2 and then 0. Anything as you wish you can include. Okay. It can even be 10, 1, 2, 6, 4, 0. Let us go for minus value also. It can be minus 6 and minus 4 because we haven't included that anywhere. So how to arrive at the resultant matrix C? Let me name it like C. So what is C? C again will be the addition of these two matrices. So again it will have two rows indexed 0 1, and there will be four columns 0 1 2 and then 3. So how to obtain this element indexed by 0 0? Add this one with this one. So 1 plus 10, it is going to be 11. Add 2 with 1. Okay, now it will be 3. Similarly, 4 plus 2 is 6, 8 plus 6 is 14, and 6 minus 4, it is 2, 5 minus 6, it is minus 1 should be the answer. Let's see, 2 plus 0, it is 2, 0 plus 4, it is 4. Okay, so this is what is expected. Now let's see whether it is being obtained through our program. It can be obtained through our program or not, right? So what to do? Again the same program, let me change. So we want to have 3 arrays, 2 for storing the input. Let me name it like A of 10 10, B of 10 10, C of 10 10. Right, so I have declared 3 arrays, 2 for storing input. I have named it like AB, and the third one is going to be C, and rest of all is same. So I'm first getting the number of rows and columns. So here enter the elements of the first array. Okay, and I'll be storing the values in which array it is E. Now the same thing I want to have. Okay, enter the elements of the second array. So where will I store my values? It is on to B. Okay, now after getting the input, I just have to sum it up, and the result has to be stored on to C. So how many times I should do the thing? So I have to go it per row into column types. So the same thing will go for I is equal to 0 until row, for j is equal to 0 until column. So what will I do? I will be just calculating the entry for the sum matrix. C of ij is equal to A of ij plus B of ij. Fine. Okay, that's all. Now everything over, we want to print the elements of the resultant array. Okay, so which one we need to print? It is all C. That's it. Your program over. Yeah, no errors at all. Just run your program. How many? Just let me show you the same input. Yeah, so I guess it's clear. Okay, so how many number of rows? It is 2. How many number of columns? It is 4. Enter the element of the first array. What is that I have given? 1 2 4. Sorry, I have given 3, so that element will get changed. Just have a look into it, and it will be 6 5 2 0. Enter the elements of the second array. So it's 10 1 2 6 minus 4 minus 6 0 and then 4. Fine. Now look into the result. It is 11 3, and I told you that I have changed this 4 by 3, and hence instead of 6 I am getting 5. 14 2 minus 1 2 4. So this is the result I am getting. Okay, and if you use minus instead of plus, you can able to subtract one matrix from the other, and that's it. I hope you have enjoyed. For any queries, you can write it to suganya.g@uit.ac.in. Always welcome. Thank you.